Welcome back, boys and girls. This is another tutorial session. Today we're going to be looking at multiplying decimals. Okay, let's get started. So again, we have our horizontal problem written out at the bottom. The problem we have in this first example is 3.74 and we're multiplying it by 4. So we're not multiplying by a decimal, we're multiplying by a whole number. So the first thing we need to do is to write our number in, 3.74, and put our multiplying sign and have our 4 which sits over there. Now, even though this is a whole number, and normally it would say is 4 should sit over in the units column, because we're multiplying the decimal, it just sits to the right hand side of the sum down at the bottom. First thing we need to do before we complete our sum is our decimal point. And just remember, boys and girls, whenever you were doing your sums yesterday, if you're doing them on squared paper, it is always best to give the decimal point its own box, just so you can keep them in line and it separates your sum out a little bit easier for you to see. The first bit of this sum we do is, again, the right hand side. So it's just like a normal multiplying sum. We start on the right hand side and we have 4 times 4, which is 16. 4 times 7 then is 28 plus the 1 down here, which gives us 29. So the 2 just hops over the decimal point and sits in the next column. 4 times 3 is 12 plus our 2 is 14. So our answer for that sum would be 14.96. Now in the second example, what you'll see down the bottom now, again we have a horizontal sum and we're always trying to take that and we're writing it into a vertical sum. You'll see we have a pound sign in our problem this time, so we're dealing with money. Money is all about decimals, so we have 16 pounds, there's our 16 pounds, so 16.74, 16.74 pence, and we're multiplying that by 3. So writing that into our sum, again, just because of the pound sign doesn't make any difference, we have a 6.74. Now we still put our pound sign in this sum, there we go, doesn't matter that it's in the hundreds column, it's in the sum. And we're multiplying that by 3, remember, what we're multiplying it by goes right to the end of the sum, okay, it doesn't sit in the middle, it sits at the right hand side. And we put our then decimal point in our answer line, and we can simply start answering then. We multiply the numbers to the right hand side of the sum, so 3 times 4 is 12, 3 times 7 is 21, plus our 1 is 22, our 3 times 6 is 18, plus 2 is 20, and the last bit is 3 times 1 is 3, plus our 2 is 5. And before we finish this sum, what do we need to put in our answer line? We need to put our pound sign. Okay, there's no point in doing all the hard work and working out the answer is 50.22 if you forget to put your pound sign and don't get the full mark that you deserve. So in this last example that we're looking at today, we've looked at a multiplying sum laid out horizontally. We've looked at a money sum, which is decimals, and how we multiply that. This next one is another word problem, and the word that we have in this one here that gives us a clue as to what actually we're going to be asked to do is right here, product. And as you know, we're looking at multiplying today. That word is a multiplying word. So find the product of 55.72 and 9. Now it looks like, now writing this sum in, we have 55.72, and again we're multiplying, and the 9 again goes to the right hand side. Put a line on the answer line. You've got it, our decimal point goes in there again in its own box if you have squared paper, and we start on the right hand side of the sum and we're multiplying 9 times 2, which is 18. Then we go 9 times 7, which is 63, plus our 1 is 64. 9 times 5 is 45, plus our 6 is 51, and then 9 times 5 again is 45, plus our 5 is 50. So our answer to that final sum will be 501.48. So there you have it, boys and girls. There is 3 different types of multiplying sums that you might come across. The key things to remember are to make sure you line up your columns properly, okay, to make sure your decimal point goes on your answer line, and make sure when you're writing in your sum, whatever you're multiplying it by, so 9 in this final sum, is written to the right hand side, and that is where you start your multiplying.